Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a really fascinating Premier League fixture.
Yeah, a classic top versus underdog matchup.
Exactly. You sent us a whole pile of sources.
Mhm.
We've got advanced predictive models, some really detailed tactical previews, expert analysis,
hmm
and it's all laser focused on one single game. AFC Bournemouth hosting, well, table-topping Arsenal on January 3rd, 2026.
And our mission here, as you know, isn't just to sort of repeat the headlines. It's to pull out the core ideas from all that material.
Right.
We want to distill that consensus opinion, pinpoint the probabilities, the most likely scores, and I think most importantly, the tactical reasons behind all those forecasts.
We want to give you that complete 360-degree view of what the experts are expecting to happen. It's the shortcut, really.
Exactly.
So you, the listener, can walk away with a really clear understanding of the baseline before a ball is even kicked. This isn't about guessing.
No, it's about understanding the analytics that are driving the whole conversation.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We have to start with the basic context, right? Because all the sources we have, they paint this picture of a really immediate structural imbalance.
They absolutely do. When you put these two clubs side by side right now, the difference in form, in standing, it couldn't be starker. It's the foundation for every prediction we're going to talk about.
So on one side, you've got Arsenal.
Right. Arsenal, they're sitting at the top of the Premier League, and they're just riding this incredible wave of momentum.
Mm-hmm.
The sources have them on a 5-game unbeaten streak. And if you look closer, their last 10 games, they're averaging, what, 2.5 points per game?
Ah, that's huge.
It is. That level of consistency, it just shows they have resilience in attack, they score, and real strength in their defense. They don't give up goals easily. They look every bit the title challenger.
And in the models, they see that.
The models definitely see that.
And then you look at the other side, you look at the home team, Bournemouth, at the Vitality Stadium. And they are, I mean, there's no other word for it, they're the underdogs here.
Yeah, their story is the complete opposite. They're really struggling, caught in this winless run that's now 5 matches long.
And their metrics reflect that. I saw notes about poor defensive performances in key moments.
That's the thing. That winless streak is a major factor driving all this skepticism in the analysis. But, it's not just about the last 5 weeks. It's historical, too.
Right, the head-to-head record.
Exactly. The sources point this out again and again. Arsenal has historically dominated this fixture, often winning by a couple of goals. So you combine that superior current form with this historical precedent.
And you get a huge prediction bias right out of the gate.
You do.
Yeah.
So it kind of forces you to ask the question, is this match less about if Arsenal wins and maybe more about what's the final margin going to be?
That's precisely what the models are trying to figure out. The consensus isn't just that Arsenal should win.
No, it's stronger than that.
It's that their performance metrics are so high right now that really anything other than 3 points for them would be a pretty significant statistical anomaly. The momentum is just undeniable.
So let's take that idea of momentum and translate it into cold, hard numbers. We're moving from that qualitative sense of good form to the quantitative edge that these predictive models give us.
And this is where it gets really interesting because the gap between the teams is, it's staggering when you look at the raw probability breakdown.
It really is. When you aggregate all these different statistical simulations, the common denominator, the number that keeps popping up, is that Arsenal's win probability is sitting at a really high 66 to 67%.
67%.
And to really get what that means, you have to look at the other outcomes. A draw is only given a 19 to 20% chance.
Yeah.
And a Bournemouth win.
Even lower, I'm guessing.
Way lower, down at about 14%.
Okay, I get the history and I get the form, but 67% feels massive, especially for an away game in the Premier League. I mean, we all know how random this league can be. Do the sources say if these models account for things like, fixture congestion, travel fatigue right after the holidays, or just the psychological boost a home crowd gives an underdog? Is 67% maybe a little inflated?
That's the critical question, isn't it? And the models do try to account for that. The sources show they integrate these things through weighting mechanisms, like ELO ratings, which factor in fixture difficulty and home advantage.
But something is overriding that.
Something is absolutely overriding that. That 67% figure is driven by metrics that are just too strong to ignore, specifically things like expected points or XP and expected goals.
So what are those structural advantages? Tell us what makes the model so confident in Arsenal.
It's their resilience.
Yeah.
Look, Arsenal's league-leading defensive record isn't just about clean sheets. It's about their low non-penalty expected goals against, their XGA. The sources document their XGA at a remarkable 0.7 per match. That's a foundational number. It basically tells the models that even if Bournemouth manages to create some pressure, the quality of the chances they create will probably be very poor.
So Arsenal just forces teams into taking bad shots, and the models see that pattern and factor it in.
Exactly. And that high probability, it translates directly into the specific score forecasts.
Right, the final scores.
Models just keep coalescing around a few results. Low margin, but definite Arsenal wins. The most common ones are Bournemouth 0-2 Arsenal, a tighter 0-1, and the one that came up most often, a balanced Bournemouth 1-2 Arsenal.
That 0-1 scoreline is interesting. It suggests that even with Arsenal's dominance, maybe Bournemouth's defense can frustrate them for long periods.
That's a key nuance for sure. But on the other hand, we also saw some analysts projecting a wider margin, a 3-1 Arsenal win.
And what's the logic there?
That projection is specifically factoring in Bournemouth's defensive issues when they're under sustained pressure, and also Arsenal's much stronger bench. The idea is they can dominate the last 20 minutes when the opponent is getting tired. It shows a strong belief they can break down that deep low block eventually.
And does the betting market tell a similar story? What's the general feeling on goals?
It does, and it kind of clarifies what sort of game to expect. The over-under market is leaning heavily toward at least 2 or 3 goals in the match.
Okay, so not a 0-0 slugfest.
Definitely not. And there's a strong implied probability that both teams will score, which, fits perfectly with that 1-2 or 3-1 consensus. It suggests a game where Arsenal's quality really dictates the scoring, but maybe they have a momentary lapse and the underdog gets one.
Which brings us perfectly to the tactical outlook, the how and the why behind those numbers. This is the chess match on the pitch.
Yes, and the tactical blueprints just confirm the statistical dominance we've been talking about. Arsenal is favored not just because of their talent.
It's the system.
It's the system. Their control is tactical. They hold on to the ball, they have incredible positional discipline, and that forces the other team to react to them.
Not the other way around.
Not the other way around. They have that potent attack combined with that, as we said, demonstrably stronger defense. It makes them favorites even on the road.
Which means Bournemouth is immediately forced into a reactive position. So what do the Cherries have to do to have any chance of disrupting that 67% probability?
The sources all point to one thing: a necessary, almost siege-like defensive strategy. Bournemouth simply cannot afford to get into an open, back-and-forth game with Arsenal.
Or get picked apart.
They'll get picked apart. They have to sit deeper, probably in a disciplined 5-4-1 or maybe a 4-5-1 block. They need to clog those central spaces where Arsenal's creative players, a player like Ødegaard, just thrives.
So their entire game plan is just frustration.
Frustration. But frustration doesn't score goals. They need an outlet. If they're sitting that deep, how do they get from defense to attack against a team with Arsenal's high press, which we know is one of the best in the league?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question for them.
It is. And what's fascinating here is that the sources are explicit about this. Bournemouth's only real hope on attack has become from rapid transitions and set pieces.
Okay, so counters and corners.
Basically.
Yeah.
They need to find one player, their quick outlet, to just switch the play instantly as soon as they win the ball back. They have to bypass Arsenal's midfield press entirely.
So long balls into space for a fast forward to run onto.
Precisely. If they can't break down that Arsenal structure with possession, and they can't, they have to rely on dead balls or that one lightning-fast counter. The sources are pretty clear that a goal for Bournemouth would be a rare event, likely coming from a corner, a free kick, or a sudden turnover high up the pitch.
Which makes the role of Arsenal's inverted fullbacks really critical, right? If they push up to join the attack, they risk leaving that exact space open for the counter.
That's the risk-reward for Arsenal. They need to be patient. Their solution to that low block is using those fullbacks, someone like Zinchenko or Tomiyasu, to create an overload in midfield.
Right. More bodies to move the ball.
It increases the speed of their ball circulation, confuses the defensive line. The tactical previews say they'll try to drag Bournemouth's defenders out of position to create one-on-ones for their wingers, for Saka or Martinelli. It's a game of geometry, designed to weigh them down.
It sounds like a slow strangulation, which would point towards that 0-2 scoreline we mentioned, where their patience pays off late.
It does. But then again, that 1-2 score remains the most common forecast. And if you connect the dots, the tactical breakdown explains that result perfectly.
How so?
Well, the 1-2 score suggests Arsenal does achieve its goal. They get control, they break through, they score twice. But in doing so, they make themselves vulnerable to that one single disruptive counterpunch.
The puncher's chance.
The puncher's chance. It's Bournemouth's only real strategy, and the models acknowledge it might just work once. So Arsenal's quality wins out, but they concede to that calculated risk from the underdog.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? If we pull everything together, the form, the history, that huge 67% probability, and tactical blueprints, the summary prediction is, well, it's remarkably consistent across all the sources.
The consensus points overwhelmingly to a high-control Arsenal win. It should be a pretty measured game, likely decided by a margin of 1, maybe 2 goals, which is why those 0-2 or 1-2 scorelines are seen as the most probable, analytically sound outcomes.
And it's important to stress, given what we saw about the goals, that while Arsenal should control the game, there's a very good chance both teams score.
Yeah, which links right back to Bournemouth's strategy of trying to snatch a goal from a set piece or a quick counter. What we've built here by pulling all these expert sources together is a really solid framework for thinking about this match. The models are confident, and the tactical analysis explains why they're confident.
Because the structural gap between the two teams is just too big to ignore.
It's just too large right now for anything other than a controlled Arsenal victory to be the most likely outcome. So let's end with a more provocative thought, something that builds on this idea of predictive modeling in sports. Our analysis showed this overwhelmingly high probability for Arsenal's 66 to 67%. It's almost a statistical inevitability. If we connect that to the bigger picture, in the grand story of sports, is there a point where that kind of historical dominance in current form becomes so strong that it almost negates the randomness that we all love about football?
That's a great question. We spent all this time detailing the structural reasons why Arsenal should win this match 2 out of every 3 times it's played. But is the real story in that 67%, or is it in the other 33%?
Right. Is the true value in seeing the model get it right? Or is it in that remaining statistically fascinating 33% chance, the draw or the massive upset, where the true excitement and the real stories of the sport actually lie?
The numbers give us a clear favor. They give us a strong tactical expectation.
But they never give us 100% certainty. And that's something to think about as you watch the match unfold. How much does the real performance stick to the model, and how much does that unexpected 33% manage to shock us?
Exactly. We've given you the informed baseline from the best data we have. Now go out there and explore the reliability of pre-match analysis for yourself.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive.